Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, everyone. You're very
Good
welcome.
evening, Stella. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Good
Good to see
evening.
you.
Good to see you.
Mm.
Hi, Martha, Cynthia, Rashid, Ronette. My name's Tex, Stella, Bridget. You're welcome. Thank you for joining.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining. Rehma, Job, you're welcome. Martha, we are glad you're here. Thank you for joining early. That shows you're very eager to learn this week, and we are happy to have you on the call. I'm going to post a question in the chat, and I want us to respond. Okay, relationships and wealth. That's Job. You can focus on the most. One, would you like to thrive the most? Job, which one of the two? I know most of us need all the three, but which one mostly? Health, of course. Okay. We have stellar relationships, health, relationships. A lot of health and relationships. Wow. Those who are just joining, we have a question. I'm going to post it again. Can you tell us? All, to be honest, this is Cynthia. Cynthia, of course, yes, all. But which one mostly? Okay, we have Ronette who's saying wealth. She's the first one saying wealth. Cynthia, we want your most of the three. Okay, if you've already given a response, we want you to invite someone who's not yet here, or if you already invited someone, ask them to quickly join because we are starting on time. All of you who have joined received a link. Shiba, can you help me post the link in the chat so that people can invite other people who are not yet here? Because what we have today is a lot of insightful information and great speakers. And you would like other people to benefit from this. It's free of charge. No one should worry about paying anything. Please invite. Feel free to invite as many people as you can. So Cynthia, you're saying health followed by relationships, then wealth. Okay, now we have your most. Your most is health, Cynthia. Okay. Surviving to thriving. Some of us may not clearly understand the theme, but we're going to understand. Don't worry about that. We're going to delve into what it means to survive and how we can move from surviving to thriving. We'll be able to understand everything, and we're going to walk away knowing better how to thrive and how to survive if that's the season where we're in. Those that are joining, you're most welcome. You're welcome, welcome, welcome. Those that are joining, yes, you're welcome. There's a question in the chat. In what area would you like to thrive the most? Is it health, wealth, or relationships? Can you tell us where you want to thrive the most? If you've already given us the answer, please share the link with someone else, other people, so that they benefit from this session. You're welcome, Hilda. Welcome, Julius.
Thank you, Stella.
Thank you for joining. Okay, so we have Rehma saying faith and career. We have Julia saying wealth. Thank you. I think we're increasingly getting a balance of the three. And the good news that there's a lot in store for you in each of these areas. I know some of you are saying everything, but this is the most. But we have a lot that is lined up in the three areas throughout the week. Please plan to join every day at the same time. And it would be great to join earlier like you have done so today, because at exactly 7, we'll be getting into the real business. Okay, we have Mary saying health and wealth. Especially which one? Which one the most, Mary? Remember, okay. Especially health. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Those who have just joined, thank you for joining. We have a question in the chat. Yes. Good evening, Lynn. Yes, yours is wealth. Yours is wealth. You can share with us a response in the chat. You are welcome to share something in the chat. In which area would you like to thrive the most? Health, wealth, relationships, and marital relationship. Good. Yes, Lynn, we shall also cover that as well. Job, wealth, yes. Good, 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 good. Mindset change. This is Fiona Sima. Okay, thank you. Fiona, that it was health, wealth, or relationships, but we'll also touch the mindset change. We surely will today. Okay, it's exactly 7 p.m. and we are starting right away, and other people will find us. And I hope you have shared the link with someone else, reminded someone to quickly join because we are starting right away. And we'll start with a short video to share with you more about J&M. Some of you have interacted with J&M several times before, and some of you are new to J&M, but we're going to share a very short video that will give you more information about the kind of work that J&M does. And I know some of you are returning. This is the 3rd edition of Surviving to Thriving Challenge. We have had the 1st and 2nd editions in 2021 and 2022. And some of you have participated before. So this is the 3rd edition and you're most welcome. I would like you to type in the chat your name and where you are joining from, where you're joining the call from. You can type in the chat. And my name is Stella Lutalo, like you can see. And yeah, I'm joining in from Magere. Magere.
Do not let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action.
The games that you have had fused together with the message has made it
a wonderful experience.
At J&M Musali, we do everything we do with a leadership bias. We believe that every one of us was made to be a leader, to be a person of influence. But you can't influence others until you can lead yourself. So we start from this premise, helping the individual to take responsibility for themselves.
Together, everyone achieves more.
And as they do that, they are better able to influence others.
Back, river, back, back.
The session was really amazing.
I like what Miriam was saying around what is the power of ambition. It starts with you.
please work to the best of your ability.
You must be committed. First to yourself, then to the organization.
Envisioning something that you're not sure how it will work, but you know where you're coming from and where you're going.
You have told us, it's not about the knowledge, right? You have acquired the knowledge, but what do you want to do with the knowledge?
The focus on the person examining themselves.
If we can learn to do things by ourselves, then we'll be able to give this country our very best.
As an individual, when you grow, whatever knowledge you get is going to affect your work positively.
It's really transformed me in so many ways. It's been engaging.
Everybody is important.
At all times, you should have an opinion, an independent opinion.
Change happens everywhere. And our best enemy is average. As chairman, we believe the non-negotiable requirement for change is attitude. The attitude you have when you come to work is a matter of life and death. There's no luxury in it. You have a mission. You have a vision. You're here to accomplish something great. Carry that same passion to your work.
We limit ourselves when we believe that communication is only verbal. Communication.
Our affiliation with the Maxwell Leadership Team, developed by John C. Maxwell, gives us access to world-class resources. It's our privilege to take and custom design solutions for each of our clients where they are. And that's what makes us different. That's what makes us unique.
We brought out the passion in our staff. We in part attribute that kind of atmosphere that we've managed to create and work ethic to the trainings that we've gotten from Jack. If you're a leader of business, you're a leader of HR, and you're looking to take your team to the next level, you know we're as good as our people. You need people who are good at motivating people, and Jack can help with that.
So we are good together. So it's not just a hashtag for anything.
I would also like to request you to join me in appreciating the work that J&M Musali have done.
Wow, thank you so much, Jack, for sharing the video. I believe all of you now have some basic understanding of what J&M is about, because these 5 days have been put together by the J&M team. Thank you. So you can see a lot of exciting activities around team building, around leadership trainings, governance trainings, and a lot of support and accompaniment to organizations, non-profit, for-profit, all kinds of institutions can be supported by the J&M team. So don't hesitate to reach out to the team members shortly, the leaders, the founders. Thank you for posting in the chat your name and where you're joining from. I can see that we have a lot of people around Kampala and also from upcountry. I see people from Jinja, Mbale, Mubende. You're welcome. And also from Nairobi, Kenya. You're welcome. Thank you for joining. If you've just joined, please, you can type in the chat your name and where you're joining from. Yeah, welcome once again. At this point in time, I would like to introduce one of the founders of J&M. He's a co-founder. While I introduce you, Jack, please switch on your video so that the people can see this person that I am introducing. So Jack Musali is a co-founder. Yes, there is Jack. Jack is a co-founder of J&M Musali. He's a Maxwell Leadership Certified Trainer, Speaker, and Coach. And I'm proud to say that he's one of my coaches. And he's, he has added a lot of value to my life. Jack has a master's degree in organizational leadership from Southeastern University in the US. And he's very passionate about helping people uncover their potential and fulfill their purpose. So in summary, that is about Jack. But the detailed version is also very detailed. But we want to save a lot of time to focus on surviving to thriving. But in summary, that is Jack. Jack, you're very welcome. We're happy to have you. And thank you for putting this together.
Thank you so much.
And I would like to hand over the microphone to you.
Thank you so much, Stella. Thank you very much. Join me and appreciate Stella. Stella does a wonderful job. Please put some emojis in the chat for Stella. Please put some nice emojis for her, just to say thank you for what she has done. You can do, I see some hand claps. Stella, thank you very much for the work that you do with us. I know there's about 76 of you that are online, And before we get started, I want to hear your voice. So I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, everybody. Unmute yourself and say hello. Everybody unmute.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Hello.
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 Everyone. Hello, Jack.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Habari ya leo.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Wow, wonderful. It's so nice to hear your voices. When you are online, it can be a bit tough when you are, it's as if you're talking just you and a few people. So it's good when we can get a chance to hear your voice and just connect with you. Today, I want to welcome you to day one of the Surviving to Thriving Challenge. And what you are about to experience is something that is going to be life-changing for you. But not just for you. I was talking with somebody and was saying that this is something that has the potential not just to change the one person that is attending, but also your family. So I want to just start out as we get started. You may be asking yourself, what's a challenge? What's a challenge? So you may have attended some things online. Sometimes they're called webinars. You've been to workshops or seminars, but this one we're calling a challenge. What is a challenge? So a challenge is different from all these other things that I've mentioned. And what a challenge is a challenge is it's like an immersive, time-bound learning and growth experience. And it's designed really to inspire you to take action, to build commitment regarding a very specific problem or a specific promise. So this week, we're going to be dealing with a very specific challenge. And the reason we call it a challenge is because it puts you to the test. And you will find that we're going to call you to take action this week. We're going to share some things with you, but we're going to ask you to take action. The reason we're asking you to take action is so that you can make some progress. So what's the problem that we are looking at this week? This week, we're looking at this problem. This is a specific problem we want to address. And the problem is that there are many of us who are stuck in survival mode in three areas, primarily health, wealth, and relationships. And this is not okay. We have created these sessions for this week specifically to deal with those problems and to say, we want you to get unstuck. So our promise for you this week is that there is hope. You can survive. You can thrive. And the three areas we'll be looking at primarily are health, wealth, and relationships. But before I go any further, I just thought it might be a good idea to share with you a little bit more about myself. And I'm going to just share with you a few pictures and images just to give you a little bit more of a sense of who this guy is. You can let me know when you can see the screen, Stella, and the rest of you.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so Stella shared with you that I'm a Maxwell Leadership team member, and together with Miriam, we are the founders of J&M Musali Limited. I had the special experience of meeting my mentor, a person that I had looked up to, had read his books, and I met him in 2018. And when I returned, in 2019, we began the company. So this is me with John Maxwell. I wanted to share with you a little bit. This is our family. We took this picture during the lockdown in 2020. And during that time, we were all locked down at home, and we got a friend who had a bike and used to take pictures, to come and take these pictures at home. And we've tried to keep the tradition. So we took these ones 2021. And then these ones are from last year. This is a special picture from last year, and you hear some more about these pictures, this set of pictures. So why I've shared with you why we're doing this challenge. We're doing this challenge because we believe that there's a problem that we want to solve, and that problem is that many of us are stuck in a survival mode. When you're in survival mode, it's very hard to break out of it. And I know we keep mentioning the word thrive, thrive, thrive. But before we start talking about thriving, today I want to give you share with you just some thoughts about the power that is in mindsets. A mindset is a set of beliefs or assumptions that we have about life and how life works. And we want to help you to create a path. If you're that person who is stuck, want to create a path from survival to thriving. And this week, you will discover the difference between surviving and thriving. And you'll be able to identify the difference, the habits, the thinking patterns and beliefs that you have when you're in survival and when you're in thriving. And what we want you to do by the time you're done is to create a vision of how you can go from where you are now to where you want to be. But as we talk about thriving, the thing with survival is real. Survival is real. Have you ever found yourself in a place where the dreams you were holding slipped out of your fingers, fell to the ground, and smashed into 1,000 pieces like a broken glass? That's where I found myself a few months ago. I was sitting at the same bench for the second time. I was sitting outside a hospital. The love of my life was fighting for her life in ICU, and I was in a foreign country all by myself, cold, lonely, and I felt like my whole world had come to an end. Life can be hard. Life can be tough. And I know sometimes we make fun of this, but there are some people right now, you may be going through very, very tough times. And things may be overwhelming for you. Maybe you have a life-threatening situation. It may be a life-threatening health situation. And we're here, but for you, thriving is not what you're thinking about. You're thinking about, will I survive? Will I make it out alive? It may not be a physical life-threatening situation. It may be financial. You may find yourself in a situation where you're not sure if you'll be able to pay the rent, whether you'll be able to make the payment for food, if you will have enough money to buy the things that you need to survive. But for some of us, it's not necessarily physical. For some of us, what we are going through is something emotional. You're dealing with an emotional struggle. You're grieving the loss of a loved one, someone that was very special to you, a child, a parent, a spouse. And you wonder, will the sun ever shine again? Will I ever smile again? Will I survive this? Today we are here to speak to you as well. But some of you, it's emotional. It's not emotional. It's relational. You are in the middle of a turbulent relationship situation. Maybe it's a conflict in your marriage or a challenge with your parenting. Maybe it's your parents. Or maybe you are alone and you feel isolated and you wish that you could have a relationship. And some of us may be dealing with a sudden tragedy. You've just been involved in an accident, something that you were not expecting. Or some of you, some other catastrophe has happened. Your house has flooded, your shop flooded, and all your stock that you've spent money on is all ruined. All of us go through life, but some of us are going through the depth of very, very difficult circumstances. If that's where you find yourself, then your priority right now is not thriving. Your priority right now is to survive. The very first thing we want you to do is to stay alive. So if you're in a life-threatening situation, your priority would be protection. How do you protect yourself? How do you protect your life? And also, how do you prioritize your immediate needs? When you're in a struggle like this for life, a life and death struggle, there are things that cease to be important. TV programs are no longer important. Who's on the news is no longer important. What's the latest fashion? All those things are out of the window. Your priority is to survive. So your focus would be on 1, how do you protect yourself? 2, how can you prioritize your immediate needs? Your immediate needs would be shelter, protection, getting yourself out of danger. Your immediate needs would be food. Can I get food to take me through to the next day? If you're in a place where you're not sure for the safety of your physical person, you want to make yourself safe. The second priority, if you're in a survival situation, you want to seek rescue because you don't want to stay there. No one wants to stay in that place. So you want to find a way that you can get rescued. And also, if you have resources, you want to maximize them. If you have food, you want to see how can I make it last until a little bit later. Then the third thing is you want to make sure you maintain the will to live. This is where you don't give up, determined to stay alive. Do whatever it takes to remain alive. But in doing that, also do whatever it takes to remain human. One of the things that we lose when we go through struggle is we lose the things that make us human. We stop being grateful. We stop being generous. We stop seeing the fun and the humor in life, and we stop seeing what is beautiful. So if you're going through a struggle, focus on those things. You're struggling to survive, focus on those things. I remember Miriam's dad recently at a funeral of his dear wife of 58 years. In the middle of everything, the sadness, the funeral service is taking place, he cracked a joke. And, that just shows you that even in the middle of the darkness, the light can shine. Even when you're in the depth, you can see something to smile about. So what are some tools that you can use if you're fighting at this place? The first one is learn from others. There are people who have already been where you are. Learn from these people. When you learn from them, you can take the lessons that they have, and number 2, adapt them to your unique situation. And then number 3, take small but decisive actions that can change the circumstances. Because survival for you now means staying alive. Staying alive until you can live again. Staying alive until you can laugh again. Staying alive until you can sing again. Survival means keeping the flame alive until you can light a fire again. Today we are lighting a fire again, but last year we were in survival mode. We were keeping the flame alive until we can light this flame again today. So if that's where you are, those are some things, some thoughts, some pointers for you. But most of you are not there. Today I want to ask you, type for me in the chat. Are you stuck in survival mode? Are I remember the time that I left my last job and started this business. It was very, very difficult. It was so difficult finding work, finding new clients, starting the business. There was very little income. All the effort I was putting in didn't seem to be resulting in anything. I developed some habits to survive. I would very rarely spend money. I would make the money stretch. And I also got this feeling that I'm all alone. I'm the only one that's here. But as things changed, I found that I kind of kept that thinking again. Today, our intention is to help you move from merely surviving and getting by to thriving. Yeah, your life has a purpose. We want you to live a life of purpose, a life of abundance, and a life of meaning. So when you stay in a survival mode, what happens is you're constantly under stress, constantly under pressure, constantly feeling burnt out, and you miss a lot of opportunities. I wonder how many opportunities I missed because I didn't reach out for help. I didn't ask for people to come and support me. I didn't take some risk and invest some of the money that I had when I first started this business. So we want you to get out of this place where you're just in a survival mode, where you're just in a holding pattern, to go to a place where you're thriving. When you're thriving, you're growing, you're developing. There's a sense of expansion and flourishing. We want you to go to a place where you're cultivating vibrant health, you're building wealth, and you're nurturing relationships. You're creating a life where you're truly alive. You must first survive, of course. That's necessary. But you can also thrive. That is possible. I want to share with you some things you can do to go from surviving to thriving. I want to share with you just a few things. The first one is you need to prioritize where you are. And now I want you to work with me here. So we're going to do something together. Let's go to the chat, and I'm going to ask you a question. Are you in a place where you are in survival? Are you in a place where you're in survival? You're in danger of missing your basic needs, or you're in danger of your physical security? Or are you stuck in a survival mode? You have what you need, but you are still in that sort of survival mode. Your mentality is for survival, but you have the basic needs. You have the things that you need, but you're still in that survival mode. Look, I see some people are typing for me in the chat. Thank you very much for sharing that. You see, when you are in survival mode, you miss a lot of life because you think that's got you stuck. You think that's got you stuck. So we want to challenge you to transition from that place where you're in survival, and instead let's go to a place where we can thrive. So the first step I've said is we need to prioritize where we are. If you are in a place where you need to survive, take care of your basic needs. But if you're in a place where your behavior and habits are just holding you unnecessarily, I want you to take this action. So I told you we're going to challenge you to take some actions today. So the first one I want you to take some action. Okay, I already asked you to do this. You've already written down, but I want you to write down, identify one survival behavior or habit that you've been holding on to unnecessarily. What's one behavior or one habit that you've been holding on to unnecessarily? I told you one of mine. I was very hesitant to spend money. Even if the money was to invest in the business and it would have given us opportunities to grow, because I'd got used to being in that survival mode. When it came time, I was very hesitant to spend. What other habits do you have that are holding you back? The second thought I want to share with you about living survival and going towards thriving is about gratitude. Gratitude can be a tool to move you from surviving to thriving, because gratitude shifts your perspective. Because our perspective determines how we see. You see the world a particular way, and the way you see the world is not the way the world is. You see the world the way you are. Think about it. If you find yourself on a day where you are gloomy and you're sad, when you walk around, the whole world looks gloomy and sad and gray. When you're excited and happy, there's nothing that can stop you. I mean, everywhere you go, everything is happy. But if someone splashes water on you, you're like, oh, have a wonderful day. So we don't see the world as it is. We tend to see the world as we are. That's why I'm inviting you to gratitude, because gratitude shifts your perspective from what you're lacking, and it brings you to a place where you start to appreciate what you have. Gratitude also moves us from a place of looking at what we lack to looking at what we have received. So the next action I want you to take is to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. So go to the chat and write down for me 3 things you're grateful for. 3 things I'm grateful for. 3 things I'm grateful for in the chat. Then the third thing is you need to learn and adapt. You need to learn and adapt. There are people who have already taken life's journey ahead of us. And a lot of these people have written in books what their journey has been. But some of these people are real life people that we are with. And I see that the things you're typing in the chat that you're grateful for. Thank you very much. So we need to learn and adapt. So learn from the people who have taken life's challenges ahead of you, people who have gone before you. But when you learn from them, take their lesson and adapt it to where you are. So commit to learning one new thing every day. One new thing. In the next 5 days, commit to learning at least one new thing. And then the final one is take some practical, decisive actions that will lead you away from surviving and towards thriving. So I want to acknowledge you for being here and for coming and showing up. Many people sign up for things and they don't show up. And so today I'm celebrating you for being here. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we're going to transition to a session shortly where you're going to hear from those who have faced situations that should have knocked them down, those who have faced survival head on, and they've emerged stronger on the other end. But before we do that, I want to just give you a sense of what the next 5 days are going to be like. So I'm going to share my screen just very briefly and just share with you what our next 5 days are going to be like. So when we do today's day 1, and today I wanted to start us off and introduce the Surviving to Thriving Challenge, and that's day 1. And today we're also going to be hearing the stories of people who have faced survival head on and come out stronger. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with wealth. Wealth deals with finances, with opportunities. How can you survive in this area? And how can you thrive? We'll be hearing about that tomorrow. On day 3, we'll be talking about relationships, building and strengthening supportive connections, relationships in the family, relationships in the workplace. We'll be looking at how you can build relationships that can carry you through. On day 4, we'll be talking about health, how you can build the resilience that will give you a sense of thriving in your mind and in your body. And on day 5, we'll talk about a game plan to go from surviving to thriving. And we'll specifically talk about thriving in your jobs, in the workplace, and in entrepreneurship, whether you have a side hustle or you have a business. That's what we'll be talking about on day 5. So that gives you a sense of what we're going to be dealing with over the next couple of days. So right now, I'm going to introduce to you the people that are going to be sharing with us their stories. And these people are very, very special people for accepting to do this. I know it's not so easy to accept to come and share a story. So that's why I want to really applaud our next speakers as they come. So when they come on, please help me and put emojis and love for them in the chat. So here we go. So I'm going to just put up this picture here. Okay, so our next speaker is Martha Nyonyozi Walusimbi, and Martha is a Christian. She's a dedicated mother of 4, a business owner, a seasoned human resource executive with over 18 years in the field. She serves as the head of talent, diversity, equity, and inclusion at ATC Africa and is currently based in Nigeria. Outside of work, Martha dedicates her time to provide resources, education, and support to children, youth, and women striving to achieve their full potential. She's committed to making a difference in her community and participates in programs and projects to achieve this. Martha, you're very welcome. I met Martha through one of her sons that was doing a program with me. And one of the things that struck me about Martha is how passionate she is about her family and her children. So Martha, you're very welcome to share with us your story. Here is Martha. Please make Martha welcome in the chat. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everybody. It's such an honor. Sorry, thank you, Jack. Good evening, everybody. It's such an honor to be part of this conversation today. I feel somewhat cheated because a lot of what I was going to share, Jack went ahead and dug into some of those things. So I feel like he saw some of my notes before I came onto the call. But anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I hope that what I will share today will help each one of us to think differently about challenges when we come across them and identify ways that we can be able to scale over those challenges and to be successful through them. This is the first time I'll be sharing such a story online, so bear with me as we go through the process. The story that I'll be sharing with you is how do you survive and thrive after the loss of a loved one. My story is based or starts off in the year 2020, just before the lockdown. I lost my husband to a tragic car accident. And I mean, we've all gone through different experiences that bring about loss, but I don't know how to describe a sudden loss of that nature. When you have dreams, you have plans, you have children, you know, it can bring about a view of the end of the world. Like everything literally is shattered. Your dreams are shattered, your plans are shattered. And I think if I go back to that time or to that season, you know, you have young children. My youngest was 4 years old at the time. And you're thinking about how do you explain death to a 4-year-old? How do you explain that they will not see their father again? How will you provide? How will you take care of them? How will you create a structure that is balanced for them to grow up in? So there's so much that goes on in your mind whilst trying at the same time to survive, you, the individual, at that point in time. So I would like to share with you the journey that I was able to walk at that time, but also to share with you some of the things that helped me go through that season and bring me to where I am today. As I mentioned, the tragic incident happened just before the lockdown. And I am actually grateful to God that, we're able to have a good send-off, we're able to do all the processes that were required. And I remember the night after we had finished the burial, the nation got the announcement that everything was locking down. And that's when the indefinite lockdown started to take place. And in that moment, the world has been shut down. You cannot access people the way you could before. And you're going through something so tragic and you feel all alone. You're alone. You don't know how you're going to go through certain seasons. And of course, at that point, survival just kicks in. You have to survive. You have to look after the children. You have to set things that will make it work. You must go through this process. And some of the survival mechanisms, that kicked in at that point in time is, who can I rely on? Who can I lean on? Who can be there for me in this time? And maybe to say that during survival, acknowledge the things that you need to do, because you must go through that season. You must go through that process. And people played a huge part in that journey. There were friends of mine who stayed throughout the lockdown, however indefinite it was. There were family members that were checking in. There are friends who walked from home kilometers to come in and check in. And being able to accept help, to raise your hand when you feel like, you can't manage, is very important in the survival period, because you need help. You need people to help you. You need people to carry you. You need people to encourage you. You need people to open up to you how they've made it through. And I remember meeting quite a number of ladies that had lost their spouses, and they're giving you advice on money. They're giving you advice on how do you encourage children? How do you talk to children? How do you support them? So in the survival mode, it's always important to seek help. And to be willing to receive the help. It's one thing for people to offer it. It's another whether you're going to be willing to receive it. The other thing that helped us through the survival mode was building cultures. In the survival mode, it's important to have a culture that you build. And because that culture helps you to transition from surviving into thriving. Some of the cultures we built in our home was, as a family, we agreed with the children that every evening would sit down and talk about how we were feeling, talk about the emotion, talk about the pain, talk about our fears, talk about our worries. And in that moment, it was not mom and child, it was all of us are going through this process. What are we thinking? What are we afraid of? Of course, being cautious of what level of conversation you have, as sometimes you might say something that completely blows off the children, but being vulnerable and going through grief with your children and going through grief with those who are around you is important, because when children see you grieving, they know that you're in the same process with them, you're journeying with them, and therefore they don't need to feel strong around you. They feel that you're walking through this together. And in the evenings, that became a tradition. To this day, actually, it became different, of course, over time. Now we come together to talk about our days, to talk about what's happening, who did what, and it's carried us through. So whilst in the beginning, it was a way to encourage and support each other, now it has become a way to keep in touch and see how we're all doing, in terms of our lives. The other tradition that was really important for us was the tradition around how do we relate with God in this season. And previously, we used to do family altar once a week, but in the survival mode, we kicked in a method where we actually had family altar every single day. Every day, 11 a.m., we gathered together prayed together, read the Bible together, did stories. And I remember by the time the lockdown was lifted, we had read from the book of Genesis and we had finished Second Chronicles, as a family, sharing, learning, growing. But it also gave us the fortitude that we needed to go through the season. The children learned that you can trust God even in such difficulty. We learned as adults. So I personally learned how to talk about God with the children, how to make it easier for them to understand when circumstances are difficult. How is God still God in such situations? And for us, that I think was one of the most solid things that supported us and has helped us through. Now, of course, with school and getting back to life, we don't do it as much as we used to, but we still have the tradition of family altar that happens in the evenings after school. The other tradition that we did is something that Jack spoke about, where you go into survival mode and you set goals. And we were on goals galore or goals overdrive. But these goals helped us to survive and transition into thriving. And what do I mean by goals? So as a family, we started the tradition of doing the vision boards. So I think it was around maybe May or June of 2020, we sat together with the children. I sat with the children and said, guys, we need to think about how we want this year to end. Are there 1, 2, 3 things that you would really want to be able to do this year? In spite of what has happened, look forward. What is that one thing you'd want to do? What are those things you'd want to do that at the end of the day, you would look up and say, Dad, I did this. Dad, I was able to succeed in this way. And so we started the tradition of vision boards, and all of us put down what we wanted to do, how we wanted our lives to be. We first looked at it big time, 10 years from now. And then we started to put together images and pictures of what each of us wanted. So every one of us actually sat down and did our vision boards. Even my 4-year-old, she put Barbie dolls, and she put, all kinds of pictures that really made her happy, but it gave her something to look forward to. And we put the vision boards in visible places that every morning it gave us something to look to, something to look forward to, something to anticipate for. And at the end of the year, we celebrated what we had achieved. And, we were able to see that we moved, we've shifted, what I thought I couldn't do in May, look how far I've come. And right now, this is a tradition. Every January, we call them towers. Every January, we sit down together and everyone puts down their towers. I want to ace this subject. I want to be able to learn this instrument. I want to be able to acquire this goal. And this has now become a tradition 4 years later. It's something that we carry forward because we're saying, you need to be thinking ahead. You need to have a plan for your life. Don't allow what has happened to completely shatter your dreams. Don't allow it to take control of who you are and what potential and capabilities you have that can be able to help you, age on and move forward. But aside from that, I think one of the things that helped me a lot was the social network. The social network, the people that surrounded us, I think I'm the sum total of all those people together. One who would give you a word, one who gives you a message, one who gives you a connection. All of these things helped. However, personally, I thrive in structures. So structures make me think better. Structures make me feel safe. But remember, we've talked about survival. Survival keeps you safe. It keeps you build a wall around you to make sure nothing ever happens to the children, nothing ever happens to your finances, nothing. It has to work because you're so afraid of losing again. You're so afraid of going through that process again. And so you create structures or systems that keep you hedged in, that make you feel safe. And over the past couple of years, I've survived by that. You set a structure, you make sure the structure works, you look for any risk that may mitigate that structure, and you deal with it very quickly. But in the process, you're not thriving. You're just able to make it through that year. And then you're able to make it through the next year and the year after that. And I remember early this year, my son telling me, Mama, you need to live a little. And I didn't understand what he meant. He said, you need to get a life. Like, we can't be your life. Go out, spend time with your friends, do other things. Like, we'll be fine. Like, you don't need to, be a mother hen over us. We can be able to make it. And it disturbed me because in my mind, I kept thinking, no, I'm okay. I'm actually fine. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. But in essence, really, I had created a structure that kept me safe, and I wasn't able to enjoy life, to experience life in the fullness in which it had come. What had worked for me to carry me from grief and pain into survival was not going to be able to carry me from survival into thriving. The goals were working, the structures, the family cultures were working, but my life was not shifting as much because I had put a hedge all around myself. And so what are some of the things that are helping me move out of the survival space into the thriving space? I think the first thing is to acknowledge it. You must acknowledge where you are and why you're where you are and why you've set up certain things. It's kind of scary to acknowledge that maybe you feel insecure. You feel that if this space is left open, you might lose again, you might get hurt again, and you feel that it's safer to put certain walls around you. But I think the first thing to do is to acknowledge that and deal with that first thing. And I think for me, it was setting up those structures. What are some of the things that I should be more relaxed about? Am I going to be more relaxed about the time, I spend with friends? Or am I going to be like, no, you guys, my children are young, I need to be home by 4 p.m. And in the process, I would lose out on opportunities, whether it was a business opportunity or things like that, because I'm trying so much to hedge in and keep safe. So identify what those things are that are keeping you hedged in and start to pluck at them. If it is a structure you've set, open yourself up, identify what you want to achieve and go for it. Of course, your strengths will always be your strengths. Mine is planning and setting goals. And so I started to shift my attention from setting goals that kept me safe to setting goals that will help me thrive. What connections do I need to make in 2024? What opportunities do I need to look out for in 2024 that will help me come out of my shell, that will help me speak more, that will help me have conversations with the people I need to have conversations with for me to get out of that safety net that I've created for myself. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to seek feedback. Ask people exactly what they're seeing. Whilst you have shifted, yes, certain things have moved, but get feedback so that you know whether you're moving within the survival mode or you need to move into a new space where you can thrive. And last but not least, I think is make new connections. The connections that worked for you whilst you were surviving, sometimes are not the ones that are going to help you when you're thriving. Identify new people that you may need to connect with that can help you through that process. That's all I have to share with you. I'll be willing to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wow. Thank you so much, Masha. Guys, was that, my goodness, this was such a wonderful sharing from you, Masha. I've taken so many notes. I hope you were also taking notes. We're going to have an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have, Masha. But for now, let's just type in the chat and show Masha some love, something that has grabbed your heart, something that has stood out for you. One of the things that she said that I thought was really powerful, that you have to be willing to accept help. People will be offering you help. There will be people who can help you. But if you're not willing to accept it and to receive it, then you'll not take advantage of it. There's so many lessons to take away about faith and how faith comes into play when we're in the middle of a crisis. How setting goals actually starts to move you forward, the power of the social networks around us. And then Masha shared how sometimes the things that we use to get out of a tough place can become the hedge that locks us in and stops us from going. I want you to get your questions ready for Masha. But before we do any questions right now, I'd like to get us to hear our next speaker, so that we'll ask all the questions together. So if you have a question for Masha, just get it ready. We'll be giving you an opportunity to ask these questions. Right now, allow me to welcome our next guest. Our next guest, I'll just put let me just get that here. Okay. Our next guest is Mr. Eddie Zimbe, Edward Zimbe, call him Eddie. Edward Zimbe is the Global Director of Program Strategy and Excellence at Living Goods. He's a health expert with over 20 years of private and international program experience. Edward's passion for inspiring others and his belief in gratitude as a way of life will leave you motivated to live your best life. One of the things that Eddie is very passionate about, he's very, very passionate about inspiring people, especially about inspiring young people. Eddie is very passionate about taking the experiences that he's had, the things that he's learned, and sharing them with others. So today, we are privileged to have Eddie with us. Eddie believes that gratitude is a way of life. I met Eddie very many years ago, and after some time we lost touch, and then we've been reconnected again. Eddie, it's such a special joy for me to have you come on and share with us your story. Please welcome with me, Eddie, Edward Zimbe.
Thank you so much, Jack, and good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. Jack and Marsha, you've made my life very difficult. I do not know how I can tell this story after a resounding, powerful experiences that you've shared. Because again, just like what Marsha said, whatever I'm going to share is very related to what we've already had. I can see lots of old friends that are on the call. And so it's an incredible opportunity and privilege for me to be here today. I just want, in the interest of time, I just want to ask, how many of us have experienced a bad dream or a nightmare? I'm sure lots of you have. But then only to realize that actually it's not a dream, but it's your real life. Or how many of us have woken up to the reality that your perfect life is now billowing in flames, your entire life? The story I'm going to share with you has not even been shared with my family. My daughters don't even know this part of the story. And so the Musalis compelled me to tell this story, and I hope that I can tell my family this story. In April 2015, around 9 p.m. in the night, I was in Munyonyo. It was a chilly night that I jumped into the lake and I lost consciousness. The level of desperation and pain I had at that moment concentrated at one particular time cannot be compared to anything. But I got to this point of desperation, and in reflection, and those people that know me and some of you on the call, the first question would be, what happened to this guy that has grown up in church all his life, had been known as the school pastor for all the schools I'd gone to in Ginger College and Namilyango, lots of people that had grown up with, people that had served with through the secondary school and through the time, when we served at Come Alive and with Uncle Ben and the likes of Apostle Mose, and many other people who are now great men of God and doing incredible work. For those of you that knew me, somebody who had literally lived a life that could be called a perfect life because I was a good boy. I wasn't stealing whilst I was at home. My mother can still say that. Studied through school, completed school, got a job before I'd completed. I studied chemistry, worked with some of the best and leading pharmaceutical companies in the world, and then got into healthcare and ran probably some of the biggest health campaigns in East Africa. And I can confidently say that probably 70% of the contraceptives that I used in this region have something to do with me. So essentially, I was thriving. I was causing waves. And what happened along the way? And I remember lots of people who are close to us would say, when they look at this power couple, myself and my wife, then we were like the Obamas. We were making it. We were a happy family, and our families trusted us. But at this particular moment in my life, I was ashamed to be part of church. My marriage had gone south in a very acrimonious divorce at the time. I lost my job not so long after that. It's a whole long other story. My friends abandoned me at the time because I wasn't the type of company that people wanted to associate with. When you're tumbling down, those that stick with you during those moments is very limited. And to make matters worse at the time, my new lover, Amanda, pseudonym, betrayed me at the time. I was broken, I was alone, and I was nearly homeless because I had lost my home during the divorce. I had lost my children. I didn't have them at the time. And, for some of you who know when you're ending jobs, you get your severance pay and you've got some of the money that you had saved. I had, gotten into tours and travel business and as well as agriculture. Trust me, I'd done my homework. I had done my homework regarding what I needed to invest in. But, to add insult to injury, the most valuable car was crashed beyond repair during this season. My goats, I had a number of goats at the time. My goats started dying one at a time. And what is funny about the goats is that when I brought the vets, they told me that my goats were dying of dehydration. In Busiro, in Buganda, my goats were dying of dehydration every single day. Now, I had planted about 5 acres of cassava in Buganda, and my cassava did not grow tubers. I'm serious. My cassava didn't grow tubers. Yet even in Karamoja, cassava grows tubers. I tried to apply for jobs everywhere I could, even jobs that were 3-4 grades down my level, and I couldn't get them. I was broken and alone. And I remember on this particular day, at about 3 p.m., lying down on a carpet in a house I was renting at the time in Buziga. I had spent about 3 days without eating, and I was struggling with a terrible hangover because in my desperation, I found solace in alcohol at the time, and I was broken. I just felt everything was gone. It was what you would easily refer to as rock bottom. It was, some of you may never experience rock bottom. I have experienced rock bottom when everything is down. The bank is calling you, they need their money. And you are all alone in that particular moment. And I remember crying out to God and I said, God, remember me, save me. And the story could go on and on. But around that same time, somebody reached out to me. Somebody I hadn't spoken to in nearly 25 years. Anthony reached out. And the turning point for me was that Anthony moment. And that's why I have passion and I've got a drive for broken people. More often than not, we want to be ministers to those that are well. We want to connect with those that are well. What about those that are broken? You probably could be the only hope for this person. And through my experiences, I met this guy that was called Anthony. I had studied with him at school. I had been his pastor. And it is at this moment that this guy reached out to me. And he was there. And I'm just reiterating the things that the previous speakers have spoken about. This one guy was willing to pray with me. He was willing simply to be there and listen. He was willing to, say, I will share this 10,000 shillings with you. He was a brother's keeper. And that, for me, was the beginning of the healing. And I can assure you that as we continue this journey of healing, and I want to go into something that, Marsha was saying, and as well as Jack, that when you begin to believe again, you begin to understand the saving grace of God and the absolute power of God to cleanse you and build a beautiful future for you. And I think for me, that is where we begin to destroy ourselves, because we are our worst enemies. Do we have the power and ability to believe that it doesn't matter how far you fall, that you can actually arise and every part of your life can come alive? Remember, I'd say that I tried to apply in every type of job around and I couldn't get. In this season, when I elevated my faith, is when I started my international career. It is when I started expatriate work by a miracle and faith in God, and by this one guy that chose to walk with me. That is one. Absolute restoration. I can tell you that God restored my family life without necessarily restoring the marriage. And I can say that I have had some of the best fatherhood experiences any father can experience. Absolutely. And I have had the privilege of growing with my daughters and having some of the best co-parenting experiences, a story for another day on how we're able to do it than anybody could ever talk about. If I'm to summarize what I'm saying today, I want to mention three critical things. The first thing, if you've not hit rock bottom, you need to be a brother's keeper. There is somebody that just needs you, and you might probably be the only connection that is going to save generations. Secondly, I must say that it's never over until you say it is. As long as you still hold on to hope, and that's the same thing Marsha was mentioning through experience and Jack, is that if you don't lose the faith and you can survive and say this thing is not over because my God is big. If you understand the bigness of your God, there is no problem, there's no experience that can say it is over. And the last thing I always say is that we're all a work in progress. It is the grace of God that makes us stand. So sometimes you're condemning yourself too hard. So at the end of the day, I'm asking for us to transition from surviving into thriving is the ability for us to elevate our faith and know that no matter where we are at, we have the ability to go above and beyond where we are and actually live a life that is a thriving life. I want to thank you, Jack, and the GNM opportunity for this opportunity to share. I wish I would have had a longer time to tell you the details of all of this, but it has been a transformation, and I can say I'm living my best life and continue to encourage people to live their best life with a life of gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eddie. Please put some love for Eddie in the chat. One of the things that I really admire about you, Eddie, is how you are willing to be vulnerable and share with us things you've not shared with anybody. Thank you for the courage and the willingness to share, to shift things for somebody. Eddie has shared so many things. One of the things that caught me is about hitting rock bottom. I've not yet ever hit rock bottom, but Eddie has. And if you're there, Eddie has a message for you that you can make it out of there. If you have some questions for Eddie, we're going to be opening up an opportunity for you to ask Eddie some questions. But right now, I'm going to be inviting our final guest speaker. It's a very special privilege for me to be inviting this person because, as you can imagine, when I share with you who this person is, you will know why it's such a privilege for me to be the one to invite her. I've known this lady for a number of years. And the first time I saw her, the first time I really met her, we were on a bus to Nairobi. Since then, we have built a very, very special friendship. I'm going to invite this lady. She's the Director, Legal and Border Affairs at the Capital Markets Authority in Kampala. She is she's a Cambridge educated lawyer with a passion for transformation, and she co-founded J&M Musali Limited to help others live with purpose and impact. It feels very interesting for me to be reading this in the document, in the bio, but today I'm especially privileged to invite the love of my life, my roommate, the mother of my children, my best friend, the second P in my pod, inviting Miriam. Miriam, come. Please come on. Miriam is going to be sharing with us her story of going from surviving to thriving, a journey that we've been on together. You're very, very welcome to share with us, Miriam. Please make Miriam welcome for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. I appreciate the warm welcome. I also want to appreciate our dear friends, Marsha and Eddie. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's not easy to be vulnerable. It's not easy to tell the world what you have been through. It's not easy to share how you've been through them, but you have. I thank you. I honor you. You're helping somebody. Jack and I run this challenge, and we want to help as many people as we can so that we can move from surviving to thriving. So it gives me great pleasure to share my story with you. Jack and I met in 2000. At that time, I was at the university, and we got married on 26th of March, 2004. And I must tell you, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful wedding. And after we got married, all I can say is life was so good. Life was so good. That picture just shows you how beautiful our lives were. God blessed us with 3 amazing children, Esther, Mordecai, and Jennifer. And we just had the best life. I felt so blessed and so privileged to be married to Jack and to have such a wonderful family. It was just beautiful. Andy Andrews says, all people, all lives are either in a crisis, coming out of a crisis, or headed for a crisis. I didn't know when I took this picture in December 2022 that I was heading for a crisis. I didn't know that. You can see how happy we were. We were so excited about the new year and about what life had in store for us. It was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But I was heading for a crisis. So in February 2023, I developed some stomach pains, and I had to go to hospital. So that's a picture with my sister Sarah. And I had to go and do a colonoscopy and endoscopy. And my sister was praying for me. My family is a very supportive family, so we all gathered at the hospital. And that's when everything changed. I felt like I moved from 1,000 to 0 within minutes. The day that I went to hospital, I was from a management meeting. I felt my career was at its peak. I was enjoying my work at the Capital Markets Authority. I was even in a management meeting. But because I had told my sister Elizabeth, who is a medical doctor, that I was not feeling well, she had prepared for me to go and see a friend, a surgeon. And when I went to see that friend, he said, Miriam, I'm admitting you. And I thought it was a joke. I said, you're admitting me? He said, yes. So I just felt like life just changed. It was upside down. And it
Miriam, we're having a network glitch. Okay, looks like Miriam's having a bit of a challenge with her connection. Okay, while Miriam comes back, she'll be back soon, and then she will continue. What I would like, hi. Hey, Miriam. Hey, Miriam.
Miriam, you're muted.
Unmute,
Miriam.
Let me unmute. Okay, is that okay? So, Jack, at what point did I stop?
You were just sharing with us that you were at
Finish this conversation.
okay, Rita, please mute. Okay, Miriam, you're telling with us that you were going from 1,000 to 0.
Okay, all right. So I felt like I moved from 1,000 to 0. In a moment, my life had completely changed. Everything that I knew, everything that I was just seemed to change in that moment. And a new journey began. I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic colon cancer, and I had to undergo chemotherapy treatment. So all of a sudden, I had to take chemotherapy in Nairobi. I had 18 rounds of chemotherapy. I had, so many flights. It was tough. I had 2 major surgeries within a space of 1 year. Surgery in the colon, surgery in the liver, surgery in the chest, and it was tough. Life was really, really tough. It's not something I had anticipated before, but God helped me through it. That's a picture with my surgeon, Dr. Ansel, and Dr. Kiari, who is my oncologist here in Kenya. After that, a month ago, during the time I was ill, my mom was also ill. And for nearly 2 years, Mom and I were ill. We were neighbors at home. I'd go to see Mommy. I was struggling, but I would go to see my mom after chemotherapy. I would hug her like I'm hugging her in that picture. And before I knew it, after about 2 years, a month ago, we lost Mommy. And that was, it's pain upon pain, and we had to lay Mommy to rest about a month ago. So it's been a really rough, raw journey. But what are some of the lessons I've learned? There's this phrase, it will pass. The phrase "and it came to pass" appears in the Hebrew Bible about 1,200 times. It will pass. Whatever you're going through, it will pass. It will pass. The other one is that people matter. There are people that walk this journey with me. They're on the call right now. Those people traveled that journey with me. They supported me. They prayed for me. They stood beside me. They helped me through the crisis. Those people are in our lives and they matter. The marriage covenant, it was tested. And that marriage covenant will be tested. Jack was with me in thickness, in sickness, in health, through the difficulties. One picture is July 2023, when we were in Turkey. Another picture is more recent for this year. He was with me in hospital through it all. I remember on 12th July, not 5th July, but 12th July 2023, Jack gave me a new ring on my, sorry, this was actually not in July, but in March of 2024, Jack gave me a new ring. And I looked at him and I said, when people are ill and people are in pain and are suffering, their spouses run away. For you, you are recommitting yourself to me. And that really touched me. Children matter. When you're trying to survive, the family has to survive. This picture is very important to Jack and I because we took it last year. I was going through another complete round of chemotherapy treatment. Another cancer had been discovered in the chest wall and in the liver. And it seemed like there was no hope. This was December. And our photographer who took this picture is a good friend. He called and said, I want to come and take the family portrait. It's Christmas. And I said, why would he even want to take a picture during this time? And he said, Miriam, one day you'll remember this picture. So the children were also going through survival. And we tried not to forget the children. We tried not to spoil the fun. The people at my workplace, those people, they matter. Those are the people that stood with me through thick and through thin. I had the legal team, and my legal team at work, they just held me and they kept saying to me, Miriam, you're going to make it. We are here. We can work with you. Even if you're at home, even if you're in Nairobi, even if you're in surgery, you can keep your job. We will deliver. And this team delivered for me. In our business, the people that stood with us, my sisters, Sarah, Ruth, the rest of the J&M team, they all stood. They continued to work. We had clients that came on during this difficult time. I remember time Jack and I were unable to go to bid for some work, and Sarah went with her husband and they got the deal and they put the team together. So all these people matter. Take care of your home. Those are some of the things I learned. When you're going through a crisis, your home is an oasis. Find help. Take care of yourself. I remember my sister Ruth, she used to bring me to Nairobi for chemotherapy and would go by the supermarket and she would be looking for things to put in my hair. I'd say, Ruth, don't do that. Why are you doing that? And she would say, Miriam, you're going through this, but you need to look good. You need to look good. Jack would take me to the salon. My nails were black. My nails were the skin was coming off my feet. They were black. And Jack would take me to the salon and make sure I'm there. Never give up. Fighting cancer is tough. It's difficult. But I learned that I should never, ever give up. And you should never give up. Listen to advice. One of our friends who you'll hear from tomorrow, Shifa said to me when I was sick, she called me and she said, listen to Jack. She said, Miriam, Jack is going to be your best advisor. Just because he's your husband doesn't mean you shouldn't listen. Listen to your husband. So I learned that I need to listen to advice. I learned that prayer is a weapon. The group you see there is a group I have been with for over 20 years. It's called Get Breakers. We were in school together. We were in university together. Those people prayed for me. They fasted for me. Our marriage self fasted for me. My colleagues at work had a prayer chain going on for me, different prayer chains going on, multiple prayer chains while I was sick. The Bible is a weapon. Read the Bible, read verses, let the Bible be your weapon. Have mentors. All these are my mentors. My mother-in-law, she was beside me. My matron and great friend Jennifer Parker, she was beside me. My mentor Derek, he was beside me. All these people are people who are mentors. My dad is a mentor. I remember I used to go to my dad, and one day I went to him and I said, Daddy, when life gets so hard, because life was so hard, I said, Daddy, when it gets really hard, what do you do? And Daddy says, Miriam, when it gets tough, insist. That's what my mentors did. They said when it gets hard, insist. My boss, Josephine, she came into the organization at a time when I was sick. She was with me. Olivia Kato was with me. Japheth Kato was with me. Krunziza was with me. He fought cancer. These are people who have gone through what I have gone through, some of them, Olivia and Krunziza, and they have insisted on life and they helped me through it. The other thing is attitude matters. I took that picture just before surgery. As I was going into surgery on 24th of May, Jack took a picture of me and he said, Miriam, let's take this picture. And I said, if you're going to take a picture of me, I better go smiling. Pursue your dreams. I had dreams. I was doing an accreditation and I wanted to finish this program. You'll see me when I was doing chemotherapy. I was defending my proposal, not my proposal, I was defending my thesis before MEFNI. And the last picture was my graduation. So I continued with my dreams and I became an accredited fellow during that process, during that time. So pursue your dreams, be a good sport, don't ruin it for everyone. Amidst all of this, when we went for surgery to Turkey last year, Jack wanted to go to Cappadocia. So that's me and Jack in Cappadocia. And we went to the hot air balloons and it was beautiful. So don't ruin it for everybody because you're having a hard day. Lastly, I want you to know that angels still exist. Those are our angels. We have Pius and Maureen. Right now, I'm at Pius's home in Nairobi. Pius and Maureen provided a home for us to stay in. We have Amina and her wonderful husband. These guys took care of us in Turkey. Amina took time off work. She took 2 weeks when I came from surgery and she nursed me back to health. We have many people, the Wabunohas, they have supported us, Robert and Betty. They have been with us. Lastly, I want you to share your stories, uplift other people. I'm writing my story and we'll have a book launch soon, but I want you to know that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jack.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much for, my goodness, for sharing that story so powerfully. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, thank you for putting that in the chat. Miriam, you can see all the love that people are putting in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being with us today. Today is our day one. We have kicked off our Surviving to Thriving challenge. And we started out just me sharing with you what this challenge is about and what you can expect the next 5 days. We've also shared with you not to stay in a place where you're stuck in survival, but to move from there to thriving. And right now, you've just had three powerful stories. A story from Masha, then we had a story from Eddie, and just now Miriam's story, and all three of them are sharing with you the same message. It's tough. It's devastating. It seems impossible, but there is hope. There is hope, and you can make it to go from that place where everything is closed and everything is sad to back to a place where you are thriving and you are living the life of your dreams. If you have a quick question I see Ronette's got her hand up. Yes, Ronette.
Thank you very much, Marsha, Eddie, Miriam. These testimonies are amazing. I would like to ask Eddie, what is it that caused you to slam the downward spiral brake and you began to turn back? Is it an event? Is it, as in, how would you advise us to help somebody who is on a downward spiral like that they stop and then begin to come back up?
Okay, thank you, Ronette. Eddie?
Yeah, so Renette, you're asking a good question. Again, I wish I had a longer period to talk about it. The downward spiral starts in little things. You know, I would encourage you to go and find the book Atomic Habits, and I think also Jack mentioned something about it. It works both in the positive and in the negative. It's small things. It's small things that begin to accumulate into very serious things. And once those small things begin to grow, it becomes habits. And again, you know how habits have formed the powers of habit. And then events, one event leads to another. For instance, I talked about the fact that the marriage comes to an end, something that I had never dreamt about. And then shame comes with it. You begin to feel shameful about what has gone on because nearly all your circles and all your networks are in church. And then all of a sudden, everything has fallen apart. You can't walk into church. And I spent like a decade without going to church because of that situation. And then those things lead to other things. And then I must say that it is one thing that leads to another. But one thing I can say is that if you identify a friend or a colleague that is struggling, it is when they need you. And sometimes they don't necessarily need you to keep giving them, advice. It's you walking with them the journey. And unfortunately, people that are broken or people that are breaking or who are downward spiral, who are going down that spiral, more often than not, they will be alone. They will be isolated. And very few people will have the courage to reach out and just simply say, I'm here. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Eddie, what stopped the downward spiral? We're going to bring our session to a close at this point. It is exactly 8:30. I wish we had more time to go into all these things deeper and deeper. What I want to encourage you to do is to come back and join us again tomorrow at 7 p.m. We'll be going into a session where we'll be going deeper to look at how you can survive if you are in a place where you're having challenges in your finances, in your wealth, in your investments. We'll be hearing stories from other people like this that you can learn from. If there's a specific question that you have that hasn't been responded to, and it's in the chat, we will look at the chat and we'll reach out and see if we can get you a response, specific response or support. If you are struggling and you are desperate and you're looking for help, I want to encourage you, don't stay alone. Don't stay in that situation all by yourself. Reach out to someone for help. You never know. There may be somebody here who has been through what you're going through, and they can help you to survive that and thrive. I want to say a big thank you to the team at J&M that helps to put this together. Stella, Lutalo, Shiba Athaire, to Sime Biona. I want to say thank you to Paul Musali, Ruth, Biona, Sarah, our team, Miriam, the rest of the J&M team. I want to give you all, I want to acknowledge all of you. It would be impossible to pull off something like this by myself. You guys make me look good. and to our guests, Marsha, Eddie. Thank you all very, very much for sharing with us real life stories, for sharing it with us so vulnerable, your struggles, and for giving us a chance to learn from the experience that you've been through. So if you're here, our message to you, it's tough, it's dangerous, it's terrible, but there is hope. You can survive, and you can even go beyond surviving to thrive. Join us tomorrow, and we'll take this up a notch to the next level. So as we close, I want to invite you to just type for us in the chat what one action you're going to take as a result of what you have learned. What one action are you going to take as a result of what you have learned today? And that's how we're closing. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. I see Elevate, Faith, insist. Yes, insist to be a friend's keeper, to never give up. Yes. To be my brother's keeper. Thank you all very much. Such wonderful takeaways. I have new heroes, Eddie and Marsha. You're officially on my list of heroes. Thank you for sharing with us your story. We pray a blessing over all of you. And from me and the J&M team, we're going to say over and out. I see Mbabazi has her hand raised. Tell me, Mbabazi.
Sorry, Jack, just a quick one. I know this is a free webinar, but I'm just asking if we want to bless J&M for what they've done, organizing this behind the scenes, how can we do it? I know it's a free. I mean, just if anyone wants to, those who have been ministered to and wants to give back, how can we do it? Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. We shall be sharing a way that you can do that. We shall share a way that you can do that during our session tomorrow. What we can do for now is I will just put my number in the chat. And yeah, I have a number. That's my number in the chat. And yeah, you can reach out to me or you can use that number. It has mobile money and other things. Okay, thank you very, very much. We'll close our session here and we'll see you all tomorrow morning, evening at 7 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye and thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much.
We're
God
gonna
bless
thrive.
you.
We're gonna
Thank
thrive.
you. Bye. Go Thrive.
Sylvia, thanks for being here.
Okay.
Steven, we
Miriam,
appreciate you.
Well
Virginia,
done.
Winnie,
Thank you all.
Julius,
Thank
thank you very
Make sure
much.
you invite your friends
Invite your friends for tomorrow.
session.
Thank you very much.
Please.
thank you, Jack and Miriam. Very grateful.
Oh, you're so
So
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
I
you
look
for
forward to seeing
coming.
you
God bless.
tomorrow.
Okay, we're glad. Yeah.